everyone, it is the middle of October and the garden is waning and wrapping up for the year of our summer beautiful luscious garden. And I wanted to share with you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly, successes, what worked, and most importantly what didn't work and we're not going to repeat again. So we're going to start here with this garden. It's one of my front raised beds, and this one you can see these guys are done and need to be taken off. I've already picked the good ones. But this is where I grew loofahs. I grew loofahs. I grew, you can see right here, there's still some wanting to grow. Here you go, okra. Okra in the Pacific Northwest, which is kind of a funny thing, but it did okay here. And then we also grew some watermelons in this. Now I'll pull back so you can get a wider shot of this, but the problem with this bed was, as you can see, almost every leaf is loofah. This is all loofah leaves. And so you see very few watermelon leaves. So the watermelons, we got about 6 watermelons, but the loofah far outgrew the watermelon. So basically, in essence, it just covered it and kept them from being able to be very successful. So the watermelon did not do well. We got, like I said, about 6 of them. So we got a few, not a lot, but sorry for the train. Well, we got a few, not a lot, but hindsight being 2020, if I were to grow loofah, I would definitely not grow them with another vining crop like that because they were very aggressive and they far outwon the race, and the watermelon did not. So next year, I will probably be growing only watermelon on this trellis back here. We won't do the loofah again in that spot. The okra seemed to do okay with it there. You know, okra in the Pacific Northwest isn't going to be really huge. It's not really made to grow here. If you know anything about okra, it's definitely one of those southern kind of things that needs the heat, but it did okay. We have some buckets of apples. These are just some rotten apples that were left from the harvest and things, and those will go directly to the compost. We've got our worm bins over here, and we've got an old sunflower. We leave these up, you'll see along the tour today, for the birds. I try to leave them until I can't stand it anymore, and then we'll take them out. But we try to leave them as long as possible for the birds. Now we've got over here some things that need to be picked, but these are super good. These are hardy kiwis. Time to pick them. Super good. They're hitting the ground, so they're ready to go. Hardy kiwis. They taste a lot like a regular kiwi, only they're a little soft and squishy, and they're tiny like a grape, but they're not fuzzy, so you can eat every part of them. So this goes around to my neighbor's side, and that's the back side of that loofah trellis, basically. And this is that hardy kiwi over here along the parking strip. If you follow along with me, you know that I'm an urban garden, so I'm an urban farm, and we're about 1/4 of an acre, but that's including the house, the basketball area, everything. So I don't have a lot of room, so every inch here is utilized. So follow along. This is comfrey. I love comfrey because we use that in all of our compost. It's really one of those things that really will pull up a lot of nutrients from the ground and stuff, and it's great to put into your compost and things like that. We've got a variegated sage here. We've got some thyme. We've got rosemary, another sage. Everything's just kind of waning. It's not doing really spectacularly. Over here against the house, we have these giants. These are probably, what, 12 feet high? These are sunchokes, or Jerusalem artichokes. Of course, they're not anything related to artichokes at all, but they are sunchokes, and they are ready to grow too. You can see the weather's hit them hard and it's starting to get chilly, and they're not liking it very much, so it's time to start harvesting those. We've got some strawberries. As I've talked about with my strawberries before, this is mid-October, and we're still getting some strawberries off of these. It's a wonderful, wonderful type of strawberry, and you can still get some off of it all the way into the fall. I'll get some even like the first part of November, as you can see, flowering in mid-October. This is a little fig tree in a whiskey barrel. This is a little bit of ginger. We've got more ginger in the back. Here we have our experiment for our sweet potatoes. This is where we've got all those pots of sweet potatoes that we're gonna do a little experiment on and see what we actually can get from each size, from a 3-gallon container all the way up to about a 25-gallon container. And we're gonna follow up with that coming up. We've got a African purple tree collard there, and below him, falling over, is the blue basil, which is just not loving this weather either. It's just literally the end of the season. All this stuff did quite well here. I have not a problem with it. Here we have a turmeric. The turmeric, I will pull this plant in for a couple more, maybe a month or two, and let it go a little bit longer. It's doing okay out here though, but it's about had it with this weather too. Here's some of my herbs. I've got some herbs back here. You've got a lovely laurel. Well, it's a bay laurel, and so it's super good. We use that in all of our pickling things. It's got some marigolds at the bottom. We have our strawberry towers that are getting wonky. We've got over here these guys as my lettuce garden, but we're at the end of the season. I'm trying to get some seeds off of it. I don't know if they're gonna make it, but this is one of my favorite varieties of lettuce, so I am trying to get seeds off of it, but I don't know if it'll make it. It's getting pretty late in the season. I may let it just go ahead and go. It doesn't hurt. I'm not going to eat them or do anything with it, but it's really a good lettuce, so I thought let it go to seed. Here, parked next to our car, is a tree, what do we call this? It's a green stalk tower garden, and the point of this was an experiment to see, can we grow sweet potatoes in a tower garden? And alongside that, we had some different tomatoes and things that are just about done. You can see we've got a few little purples here and stuff that are just about done, but the tomatoes are not loving it. We're getting down to just about 40 at night, and they're saying done. That tasted okay though. Walking under the arbor here, we've got green beans. These are blue treophone. Yeah, you'll get it. I like a lot of purple stuff. So this is blue treophone. These are nice though. I'm saving these for seeds and trying to get them so we can dry them out. So I'm going as long as I can, then I'll pull them in and try to get them finished off and dried for seed for next year. So we've got some things bottom below. We got a little bit of nasturtium and things. We've got some jalapenos. This is our jalapeno bed. Right here, we've got a lot of jalapenos going through here. Lovely jalapenos, got some reds, got some orange. This right here is a grass. Gotta love it. I brought in some llama poo, and with that llama poo, I've got two beautiful new weeds to contend with, being sarcastic. This one is an icky grass, and then I've also got pigweed or amaranth, and it's going crazy. I never had it before, but it's loving it too. Here's more jalapenos. This will all be picked today. Lots of jalapenos in this tank. So that is a driveway garden. So you can grow things in your driveway. Over here, we've got some broccolis. So this is going into fall. So these guys are still doing well and are quite lovely. We have poor Mr. Grape, who's about to lose all of her leaves. It did very, very well this year. We got about 150 pounds of grapes off of this one grape tree. It's an old grape tree. It's maybe a Campbell's Blue or something. We're thinking about a 75-year-old vine that I hauled home one day from a neighbor's, and we planted it up with hopes it would survive, and it did. And it kind of looks like it's cut, basically. The people kept cutting and cutting on it, trying to kill it, and she wouldn't die. So it's cut and looks a little bit like a Japanese maple or weeping Japanese maple or something. So it's a pretty little vine, but it really produces, because it's such an old vine, we love it to death. So it's a great product. I call it Methuselah grape because it's an old one. Over here, we have our pollinator garden, which is very wonky. It's ready to be pulled out. It was lovely. I shouldn't say pulled out. We never pull it out. We'll chop and drop it and clean it up so it looks a little bit better and let the seeds go. This is echinacea here. Here's some peppermints, it's chocolate peppermint. And then we've got the echinacea, as I said. This is El Campagne, and all of these will make seeds for us, so they'll come back next year. We've got some more chocolate mint down here. Over here we have some lavenders. These are raspberries, thornless raspberries there, and more lavender. Over here is the back side of that grape. Got lavender up here in the pots. We've got some trees, some Collinor apple trees and things there. Like I said, all of this stuff is just done for the season, but trying to go through to kind of redo what we have here and kind of think about what we're going to do next year. Got some sunflowers here. This is all El Campaign. All needs to come down. And literally I will just chop all this stuff up into small pieces and let it sit right on top. You can see all the seeds in here for next year on this echinacea or cornflower. Beautiful purple flowers. And we'll let them just fall into the ground and they'll be their own mulch and bring back the seeds for next year. Here's a African blue basil. Lovely, lovely, but it definitely will not make it through the winter. We're gonna leave it there and let it try, chop it back. Maybe I'll mulch a whole lot around it and see if there's any way that could come back. We have a little library here, a little outside library to help educate people. These are our apple trees. They're espalier apple trees. And then below them we have raspberries, which I see a couple ripe raspberries still, which is amazing. These are thornless raspberries, very good. In pots, these are in whiskey barrels there. Again, here we still have the pollinator garden going with all different kinds of herbs and flowers. Another one of those lovely African blue basils. Here we have our pepper tanks. They're in the yard, but this is a really super good pepper, very mild, and it's like a bishop's crap, but it's a very mild pepper. It doesn't have the heat, so we've grown that one out to be a sweet pepper, and it's really good. What else do we have in here? We have different types. We have, this is a habanado. So it's like a habanero, but without the heat. So this is a habanado. It's supposed to have all the flavor of a habanero, but not the heat, which is a great idea in my mind anyways. We've got some more jalapenos in here, some more bells. These tanks did lovely. The peppers absolutely love this area. They got a lot of heat from we've got our sun wraps around us and kind of, goes from obviously the east to the west, but it kind of wraps around this area, so they get sun basically all day, and they love this area. They're in these tanks behind the fence. Here's our fig tree. She's getting lots of figs going again. It's a very lovely tree. We got tons of figs off of it. Super good. Of course, more lavender. I love lavender. Lavender on this side. The fig tree, so you can enjoy that. When January or so, I'll trim her back because she's in a very tight location, but we'll trim it back so it's nice and tight there. This is where you've got more coneflowers and things, and you've got a lot of sunflowers here, and these are all for the birds, which will be cleaned up soon. Growing outside my fence is the crazy growth of the beautiful sweet potato variety that we grow here. Lots and lots of sweet potatoes going crazy right there. Over here we've got some of our super hots we need to get harvested. We've got 7-pot over here. Got some habaneros there. We've got some cayennes over here. All these guys are getting harvested today. All the peppers coming in. There's that African blue basil. I stick that around everywhere because our pollinators absolutely love it. So we've got over here more. This is Trinidad Scorpion, the tank of Trinidad Scorpion, another super hot. Here we even have a sweet potato trying to flower there. So very, very happy here. These are all growing from this tank over here. They've got a big bed right there that they're all growing from. This is our side. I think I call it our parking strip. Some people call it a hell strip or whatever, but it's just along the side of the road, as you can see. And this is all our sweet peppers. This is gonna be your bells. So I've got red bells, yellow bells, and orange bells all along here. And got a squished tomato here that somebody found the need to pick up and squish. Happens sometimes. This is Carolina Reapers. These are Carolina Reapers over here. Ending the season with some Carolina Reapers. These are ghost peppers over here. Got some ghosts down in here. So these are the super hot tanks, and they super loved it. They're very big and doing super wonderful and loving the Pacific Northwest on this side. So they get sun basically all day. These plants are, gosh, 3.5 feet tall. They did super well. We've got another potting of sweet potatoes down here. I put 2 plants in up at the top because I wanted to see, people want to see, well, will the sweet potatoes grow in our native soil in the ground? And so we put them in the ground to see what can we get if we grow a sweet potato in the ground versus when I grow it in a raised bed. My thought is that you're going to get better yield in the raised bed because these sweet potatoes never really get the warmth in our native soil because our soil never warms up that much. You know, if you put it in the ground, our soil temperatures are never going to be as warm as they get in a tank or in a big pot or something like that. But we did an experiment so that way we could show our customers next year what happens if you grow it in the ground compared to if you grow it in a tank. This is our paste tomatoes over here. You can see alongside here we've got paste tomatoes, and these, as you can see, they're really saying we're done growing here, folks. But we've got a few tomatoes to get harvested today. We're gonna pull some green ones out and hang them up. We've got some real cold temperatures coming in a couple days, so that's why we're doing the season roundup here. Again, another one of those cool African blue basils. More peppers along here. You can see the big bell peppers along here, and all of these guys are getting picked today too. We've got the artichokes. They're loving this weather. They're going crazy. These are the new artichokes. These will fruit up and make us big heads next year. These guys are doing well, so obviously you could tell the things that are going to be overwintering and do well compared to the things that are just done. That is the green beans again, which are the blue treophone, which right now are looking horrible, but they were luscious and beautiful during the season. But this is the end of the season, but these will be for seed. This is going to be all broccolis. You've got broccolis, and there's beets under there, believe it or not. We've got some nice beets under there too. So we kind of interplanted some beets and broccolis together for a fall harvest. Over here we have a giant bed of sweet potatoes. That's all sweet potatoes, folks, and that box is way smaller than that. The box is about 4.5 feet wide by 30 feet long, but the sweet potato vines have gone absolutely crazy. So we let them. They're going to be harvested in about 2 weeks, just before the first frost. This is the asparagus. We let the asparagus go until it starts browning, and then I'll chop and drop all that stuff on top so it can feed itself. But it's really important with asparagus, if you want to get good asparagus, make sure and let your asparagus grow out, because it doesn't know it's growing to just be a little stem for you to eat. The asparagus is there because it needs to become a fern. So asparagus is actually a fern here, and it's very pretty. The thing is, though, that if you just keep chopping and chopping it and taking every stem that it makes, every spear that comes up, then you're going to get diminished returns because the plant can't feed itself. So these guys, their whole point here is we're letting these guys be nice and big. So as the season ends, they have photosynthesized, they have collected all this nutrients, carbohydrates and everything in these beautiful lush greens. And now they're going to dry, and they're going to start sucking that stuff down like this, and they're going to start storing it in their roots. And that's going to make a really good crown, a really healthy crown to come back next year for us and make lots and lots of spears for us. So this will be being chopped in about 2 weeks or so. We'll start chopping some of it, and then as it starts browning more and more, it'll all be chopped into compost, put right on top of it like a good mulch to protect it. But it's done very well also. But yeah, this is what it looks like at the end of the season: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So these ones are pretty. These ones are pretty. Not so pretty there. But that's how it goes, folks. When you're getting to the end of the season, sometimes your things get a little wonky, and other things will come back and look beautiful. Let's move it along here now. We'll come into our inner sanctum inside the gates. The other part was all about what's growing outside of our gates, and this is what you can see inside the gates of Valley Growing Gardens Urban Farm. So this is the backside of an espaliered apple tree setup. These apples did very well for us. We got a lot. I think we got around 400 pounds of apples from our total garden here that were good. We've got, you saw some buckets that were bad. This is kaolin clay. We sprayed with kaolin clay this year to protect the apples. It seemed to really help with apple maggots. Apple maggots did not really bother the apples that were sprayed with the kaolin clay, but the codling moth didn't really care. He kind of still went for it, but codling moth is easier to take care of. If you get a codling moth, you can cut that out a lot easier because there's generally one in an apple, compared to if you have a apple maggot infestation, you have 100, 1,000, stings on each apple with tiny little maggots all over it. So kaolin clay, a lot of work, but it seemed to work. You have to reapply it after every rain, but it did work. Bad part was that my son did it for me, and it was wonderful that he did it, but oh my goodness, my whole yard looked like it snowed in July and August, the whole time. So it's a little messy, but it's just plain clay. It doesn't hurt nothing. It's very organic. You just wash it off when you're ready to eat it. Here is my cherry tomatoes. I always recommend when you're growing cherry tomatoes or things like that, put them close to the door so you can just walk out your door and eat them. And so we grow so many tomatoes and stuff that we don't generally have tomatoes, cherry tomatoes in the house too much, because we eat them so much that we just kind of pick them, harvest them, and eat them as we go, or come out and grab them for a snack or whatever. But I like to fill the bottoms of the pots because I think it looks pretty to put some flowers in there. So we've got some lobelia and things like that in the bottom. This is some end of the season kind of tomatoes. Oh, this guy just came off in my hand, but this is a Palestinian, which is a nice tomato. Again, all these guys are getting picked today because the cold weather coming. They're kind of suffering. The vines are just dying, and it's done, folks. So time to clean them up. So we've got another, I like these raspberries. This is a pot thornless raspberry. We get a lot of raspberries off of them in wine barrels. Here's one here too. This is again, you can see that kaolin clay, but these are columnar apple trees. So they're apple trees that grow basically straight up in a column the whole time. So you can put them in a nice tight, like along your sidewalk like this, where they're not really taking up a whole lot of room. I've got strawberries running along the ground here. This is huckleberries. Huckleberries right here, huckleberries right here. Over here we have some tomatoes. We have some Swiss chard planted in the bottom of it, so as they bring out the tomatoes, we'll still have a crop going down there in the bottom that can take off, and that's the Swiss chard. There's one big Swiss chard because it was a little bit older one. Most of the Swiss chards over here are quite a bit smaller. You can see the Swiss chard right here. There's a plant of it. And then over here we have more broccoli, because gotta love the broccoli. This is a quiet little arbor area that we grow beans and things in. We've got a couple strawberry planters. This is the back side of that grape that I talked to you about, the Methuselah grape. This is an Amish paste tomato. Love it. Love Amish paste. Nice, beautiful tomatoes. You've got more gardens here. This is the front side of that espalier. I like it because this is a bedroom right here, and it's nice because it kind of hides everything. So it gives you more privacy living in the city. Over here we've got a bed full of, what are these guys? These are Long Island Brussels sprouts going. Over here along the house we have a whole lot of blueberries. We've got a ton of blueberries on those guys. Then you've got over here more broccolis, I believe. You obviously have a critter down here. This is probably a looper that's done some damage. We just uncovered these. We had row cover on them, but obviously the row cover had holes in it. I used old row cover, shouldn't have done that. So we have some bug damage there, but it's okay. They're gonna come back from that. This is leftover beans. They're trying to take off again, but we've already harvested the beans off of it. So yeah, we've got some pretty bad damage along here. I'm not sure if these guys will make it, but we need to get out there and look for some little loopers or the European butterfly. He did some damage. This one didn't have it quite as bad. Probably had better row cover on it. This is the backside of more espalier apple trees. We have our old crab apple here, which has a nice little sitting area under it. We've got, some starts. I'm reproducing some of the raspberries here. That's what those little plants are. This is the front side of that. Remember down on the sidewalk? All those vines, they're all from this planter right here. It's about a 4 foot by about 6 foot planter with sweet potatoes in it. It's got some African blue basils in the front of it. You've got the peppers over here. This is the front side of the peppers with the little well garden. Has strawberries and things in it. A couple little wagons. Everybody needs a wagon in their garden. Another wagon here. We've got our tomatoes in here. I haven't been in here for a day or two so we can see what we've got in here. This is kind of our tomatoes that I try to do and extend the season a little bit in here. So generally we do a little bit better in here with the tomatoes. They got a little bit more heat at this time of year, so we should have them going for a little bit longer. Got some black beauties here. Look like they're doing okay. Yep, they're starting to color up there. You can see it. We've got a red zebra here, a nice big red zebra. But looks like we're gonna get some tomatoes to pick. We've got a lot of powdery mildew going and into the season funkiness, but that's what happens when you're in a colder climate. Funkiness happens. This is a Cherokee purple. We've got 99% humidity and 58 degrees at about 10 o'clock in the morning. So not too warm. Tomatoes not loving it. Lots of black beauties here. Sweet black beauties. I think we might be able to keep these tomatoes going for a couple more weeks, but not too long. Got a bucket right here with a beautiful African blue basil again. Gotta love our African blue basil. My big thing with it is it's not particularly a tasty basil, to be honest. It smells lovely. It's infertile. It makes these giant, beautiful purple flowers, but the pollinators absolutely love it. Now, I usually keep this open. It's just closed up now for the season because it's gotten so cold. But this area is usually open, so I put that there to bring the pollinators in. So just more tomatoes here. Got a fan going. I throw some on the table sometimes to ripen up, but this one, too cold, didn't ripen up. He's gonna rot before he ripens. That happens. You just gotta accept it. The good, the bad, the ugly, successes and failures. Hopefully you guys can learn from my failures too, because I absolutely have them. Like everyone, we definitely have the failures too. So these are blueberries again. We've got some herbs here. I've got some dill and we've got weeds in there now. It looks like chickweed, but was cilantro. We've got more grapes along here. These are great babies from that Methuselah that I propagated. So I've got more of that, I believe, Concord blue or Campbell's blue. These are the tomatoes. These are my paste tomatoes out here. These are the experiments of a couple of the sweet potatoes that we're trying to see what they're going to do here. And with that, we conclude the front gardens. So shall we go to the back and see what's going on back there? Let's do it. Okay, here we are in my inner sanctum backyard. So right here we've got a very spent Black Beauty zucchini. This is the cucumbers. Believe it or not, we harvested yesterday. So, well, there's a couple little ones on there even right now. Cucumbers in, let's see, October 17th, we were able to harvest cucumbers, and that's crazy. So this alphabet cucumber continued to grow. In here we have an empty greenhouse, so nothing's going on in here right now. So we'll be picking and hanging tomatoes. Will be hanging in here, and so will the peppers really soon. But right now, nothing's going on there. Here's the ginger, who is going to move into a greenhouse for a couple more weeks till I get time to mess with them and harvest them. But right now, the ginger is just kind of hanging out here, but this is not the weather for ginger, so we got to get them inside because they're not loving this, I'm sure. We've got wasabi. The wasabi, on the other hand, absolutely will be loving this. We've got wasabi babies all along here, all over the place. We just harvested wasabi a couple, maybe 3 months ago. So we're just getting comebacks. These are wasabis from plantlets along here. And these are all wasabis from seed. So these guys were all done from wasabi seeds that I saved this year, which is pretty cool because that's not very common to grow from wasabi seeds. And I'm just kind of inventing it myself as I go along because nobody could really tell me how to grow wasabi from seed, how to gather seed or anything. So I'm just making it up as we go, but you know what? They're hanging in there. Seem to be doing well. These are obviously younger. These guys are doing well though. These are very slow growing plants, but they love the misty coolness that's going on right now. This is their thing. This is the perfect weather for wasabi. So wasabi, happy. Ginger, tomatoes, not so happy. Good, bad. You get a pick. Got a grape right here. That's that Methuselah grape again. She's just about done. Down here we have another zucchini. This is a golden zucchini who's really done. I see one fruit on it right now, so I need to get that off of it. This is a purple tree collard, which they love this weather. They will do very well in it, and they will start really turning purple here soon. They like to get very purple in the cooler weather. So kind of like with your cabbages and things like that, how cabbage gets tasting a lot better when it gets hit with that frost. That's the same thing. You know, you've got the coldness to really make it pop up. We've got some yacon here. It's also a summer loving heat seeker, which is just not real happy. And then you've got the happy. You've got the purple tree collard. So I've got purple tree collard babies over here. We're propagating those. And the yacon has completely filled my area to walk through. So you can see we're just waiting to harvest it. As soon as that first frost comes, this will be my indicator, because when that first frost comes, this yacon is done. It will turn a brown, crispy. The leaves just become like you touch them and they just crumble in your hands. This is the back in-ground garden. This is the end of the butternut squashes were along here, and then we had spaghetti squashes along there. They're all done. We're going to be converting this over, and we're going to be putting some garlic in here within the next couple weeks. And then on the other side here, we have more broccoli, and I think that one's full of a lot of beets. But this will be turning into a lot of garlic, gosh. I have ginger on the brain, but stick with me, folks. That's not the time to plant. This is the time, though, you want to plant your garlic, though, in the Pacific Northwest. Garlic does very well here, and you want to plant it around Halloween. So I always just say, you know, think of Halloween. Try to get your garlic in around that time, and you'll do well, because garlic takes, you know, I don't know, 8 months or so to go. And oh, here you go. Here's our loofah. Some loofah hanging here to dry. And if we were in the South, we'd just leave that, you know, we'd leave that loofah on the vine and let it dry on the vine. But here we can't do that because it'll just rot out. So we've got some really nice hardened spaghetti squashes. And then we have some over here that are not quite there. So we're gonna eat these guys up sooner. While these guys will store for months and months, these guys are not gonna store quite as well. So we're gonna eat these lighter ones the next couple weeks. Over here we have butternuts. And we have some beans drying here. These are, these taste a lot, it's a type of runner bean, but it's like a Polish runner bean, and it tastes a lot like lima beans, kind of very smooth, very good. Here's some okra seeds. So these are being saved for seeds. Here's some seeds from a Cherokee Trail of Tears, a black little bean, really good. So those guys are all just hanging out and chilling in, this is what I call the jungle. It's kind of my hotter house of the ones. We'll duck here under the yacon. We've got some, what kind is this? Napa cabbage. I believe this is Napa cabbage over here. We've got some cabbage plants. Loving this weather. Got a sweet potato over there going crazy, just about ready to harvest. This is our composting area. Over here, beautiful, beautiful bed of beets. And then on the back side, we've got some broccolis that got totally decimated by cabbage loopers, the European butterfly. We came out and picked off about 20 bugs off of these a couple days ago. Again, don't be cheap with your Remay. We had Remay covering this stuff. The problem was the Remay had holes in it because I used old Remay, and I thought, oh, they're not gonna find that hole. Well, guess what, folks? They found the hole. So yeah, they pretty much decimated that. Hoping it'll come back. This one had better Remay on it. So this one's looking better. This is another bed of fall crops, fall cabbages. Let's see, we've got some cabbage in there. We've got some Brussels sprouts and things like that. Here we have the blueberries. This is kind of the shade part of my whole gardens. This is what I call my shade garden. So this is where I grow my mushrooms, do things like that. I don't have them yet, but we're setting up. We're in the process of putting up a chicken palace back here. This is my little note table. I like this thing because I can throw things down and make notes on it. But yeah, blueberries. This is a great place for blueberries. I've got some blueberries. This is a huckleberry here. You've got a huckleberry, then you've got your blueberries. This is a cute little desk though. I love this little desk. We just kind of put it on an old stack, and then you throw that down there when you need to set things down or do something. But we've got some apple trees back here. We've got the cherry tree. More apple trees under the dogwoods. Got a big mess right there. That will all be gone, folks. This is the ugly part. All of this is because we are working on a chicken area, as you can see back there. The chicken area will be done in the next couple weeks, and that will all be cleaned up. This is my composting leaf area. These are our pawpaws. Pretty proud of the pawpaws. They're starting to do well. These are about 4-year-old pawpaws, so hopefully we'll get some fruit on these within the next couple years. But the pawpaws are looking very well and doing very well. Let's go up here and check out the mushrooms. I haven't looked at them for a day or two, so let's see if we've got anything going on with our mushrooms. The other thing that loves this type of year too, mushrooms love the moisture. Unfortunately, I've got squirrels that are liking to, you can see right there, like squirrels are coming here to try to bury their nuts in my mushroom pile, but we've been harvesting a lot of wine caps or King Stropharia off of this mushroom pile. And then this is, of course, because we're working on the chicken area, which will all be done and be beautiful for you by springtime, and we'll give you an update, and we'll get some girls out here. I want to just close that loop and get eggs and make it so that we can have eggs for the dogs and for the people who eat eggs. We do not eat eggs, but mostly I want to be able to get the compost from the chicken poo, and also to be able to feed them our bugs. So we have a cute little house here that we just been working on. It's a darling little house we're doing. And then back here we have their house, their cage. And this will all be set up with a roof on it and all that, and all this mess will be cleaned up. So there you have it, guys. The good, the bad, and the ugly 2023 fall garden. Time to clean up and put this garden to bed. And I'm sure you're all feeling the same way. Now is when we're gonna get out here. We're gonna start harvesting a bunch of this compost, get these guys fed, get them covered up with some good burlap, get some cover crops planted, and that will give us our garden of next year. And we've got some birds up there, just like we talked about on the sunflowers. All those have to be cleaned up, but take a little bit of time to do that, so you give your nature a chance to stock up their food for the winter. And then go out, put this stuff away, compost it all up, and fill your beds up. Like I said, get ready for next year, guys, because it's coming. We're gonna have a wonderful season. We're gonna grow a lot of food, and we're all gonna enjoy good health as we grow healthy food and we stop buying the empty of all nutrients food that they sell at the store. We're gonna try to cut way back on that and get ourselves healthy and live off the land as best we can. Whether you have a 5-gallon bucket or you have 5 acres, you can do it. Come and see us at Valley Growing Gardens in the spring. We'll have all kinds of plants for you, all kinds of organic, good stuff to plant for your family. See you then.